Hello everyone, in this video we have President Joe Biden up against Governor of North Dakota, Doug Burgum. Now Burgum, he's a more moderate type of conservative, but he's still fairly right-wing on most issues, especially abortion. He signed a total abortion ban in North Dakota, but he doesn't support a nationwide abortion ban at all. But I could still see him signing that ban in North Dakota, definitely hurting him with a lot of pro-choice voters. So then again, I think that would still hurt him quite a bit. But he did show that he's pretty moderate in some issues, especially climate change. He does acknowledge it's real, but he's still pretty pro-oil anyway. He's more about like government efficiency because in North Dakota he definitely brought a lot of cut down taxes quite a bit. He kind of loosened the rules on Social Security. He's loosened those taxes there as well. But he isn't against Social Security. He's just about loosening it a bit with the taxes. But so I don't see that hurting him super much. But another thing is he's quite free trade focused in North Dakota, so I could see that hurting him in the Rust Belt because they're definitely more protectionist and populist. But then again, Burgum, he's like your average Republican, so he would actually fare a pretty decent chance at beating Joe Biden, who has quite low approval ratings. Doug Burgum could be the winner here just by being less hated, honestly. But let's get right into this. Colorado, safe Democratic. Very progressive state. I don't see them going in favor of Doug Burgum at all here. Alaska. Again, with Burgum on the ticket here, I think he would easily carry Alaska. It's still a pro-oil state. I could see him just being an average, normie Republican, and that's a perfect fit for Alaska. In Iowa, I see that also fitting the mold quite well. It's a very rural state. He is from North Dakota. I could see him doing it quite well in Iowa, considering they hate Biden quite a bit here. Biden has a very low approval rating in Iowa, and he's probably going to give up on it in 2024. In Ohio, I see this as a likely Republican state. I could see Burgum holding most of the Republican base together here, but I could see him underperforming Trump in Ohio by a bit, just because he would lose some populist voters with that free trade stance. Again, Ohio is a protectionist state. In Florida and Texas, Doug Burgum, he would solidly lock up these states. They really wouldn't be competitive with Burgum. Most Republicans who are just average typically win Texas and Florida by likely Republican margins at this point. In Maine, I could see it being down to likely. I could see Burgum having that average Republican appeal. He's a bit moderate as well, which is a good fit for Maine, which is why he would also do quite well in Maine's 2nd district. In New Hampshire, I could see going down to lean just because Burgum, he's a lot less of an inoffensive Republican candidate. I don't see a lot of voters really despising him as much as they dislike Trump or DeSantis in the state of New Hampshire. In New Mexico, I could see his appeal. I think he would do a bit better than most Republicans here because, again, he's typically a more moderate conservative, but he wouldn't make New Mexico competitive. I think Biden would probably still win the state by like 9 points against him. Virginia also would get a bit more competitive. Again, you run a different type of Republican that isn't as populist. He's more of an establishment Republican, and you could see Virginia get a bit more competitive, but still a Biden victory nonetheless. In North Carolina and Georgia, I think North Carolina would actually go to Doug Burgum here, and I could see him even narrowly flipping Georgia by a tilt Republican margin. Again, he would do better with independent voters in both of these states because he's an establishment Republicans, and those typically do quite well in North Carolina and Georgia when they're running against a more unpopular Democratic candidate, Joe Biden. In Nevada and Arizona, it's actually a pretty tough call. Again, Burgum, he did sign an abortion ban in North Dakota. You could see a lot of pro-choice voters being mad at him, which is why I have Nevada still Democratic. But with Biden's pretty low approval ratings, you run just like a very normal Republican against Biden. I could see Arizona voting narrowly against him. So in Nebraska's 2nd, it would definitely be a lot closer. I could see Burgum doing a lot better in Nebraska's 2nd, but I just see Biden winning here by about 3 points against him still. So we have these last 4 states remaining: Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Minnesota, I see going to Joe Biden by quite a bit here. I just don't think Doug Burgum would appeal that well to Minnesota. And again, he's a lot less populous, so we could see rural turnout go down for him in the state of Minnesota, which you kind of need rural turnout pretty high for a Republican to win in Minnesota. Because again, those suburbs and those urban areas are definitely going to erase all those rural margins that are decreased because of that less populist Republican. So again, because he's a lot less populist, he supports free trade. I could just see Biden winning in Michigan. I could see Pennsylvania probably still being decently close because again, Doug Burgum would be a lot less hated than Trump and DeSantis here. He'd have a lot less people just outright hating him. So that's why I have Pennsylvania as tilt Democratic, but we're down to the state of Wisconsin. And it's a very tough call in Wisconsin. I could see arguments either way here, but I just think that Burgum would struggle to turn out those rural Trump voters, those more populist types, just because of that free trade position. I think that could honestly hurt him, and with him kind of cutting taxes down on Social Security as well, you could argue that's a form of privatization of it. I could see that also impacting him with populist voters. I could see Biden hitting him on that, saying, you want to weaken Social Security in some type of way. So then again, I think Biden would actually narrowly win here, even though Burgum would probably have better favorables than Joe Biden. Biden does have incumbency advantage, and he is pretty much more populist than Doug Burgum, thus giving him narrow victories in Pennsylvania and Wisconsin and Nevada and Michigan. But overall, a very close election. Burgum, he's not the worst candidate, but I just don't think he has it in them to bring down Biden so far. Unless we see polls showing the opposite. Really, they hadn't even polled Burgum versus Biden yet. I really haven't seen any of those. But for now, a narrow Biden victory in the Electoral College. Popular vote, it's probably 1 to 2 points in favor of Joe Biden. 1.5% victory. Let's round it up that. Okay. Other than that, if you liked this video, I'd highly appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. And you should totally leave a comment down below. You agree or disagree with this take? Do you think Burgum would win? Do you think Burgum has the Burgumentum to become president of the United States? Let me know. I'll see you guys in the next one.